We all experience challenges in life, and we all know what it's like to be on the mountaintop as well as way down in the valley. And God never promised us a life without difficulty. What he did promise was that his presence would always be with us every step of the way. And not only did our guest today overcome her challenges, she rose to the occasion and, listen to this, became a 7-time Paralympic gold medalist, as well as setting a world record. We are honored to have Danielle Campo with us today. Danielle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joe. I'm so happy to be here.
You know, we always say, oh, I'm so honored. I feel like I'm in Olympic royalty here today because you've had an incredible journey. And you were diagnosed with a neuromuscular disorder at the age of, what, 2?
Yeah, at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have 2 older brothers, and my mom, shares the story of being told, that this beautiful baby girl was here and ecstatic and screamed that the whole province could hear. And when I started to walk, she noticed I'd fall all the time or I'd ask to be picked up. So my dad's flat-footed, so she thought, blame it on my dad. She must be flat-footed. And I went to a specialist, and the specialist looked at me and said, this child has muscular dystrophy. And my mom shares her world shattering.
Sure.
And as she began to pick up the pieces, she spoke those words, thy will be done. And so they put me in the water to move those muscles.
Well, you said, your will be done. I think of that old hymn, it is well with my soul.
Absolutely.
We don't always understand, but we trust. Okay, so they put you in water, and that was a game changer because you were able to be different in the water. So tell us about going from that diagnosis to becoming a world champ.
Absolutely. The water was my freedom. I was the same as everybody. I could do everything and actually do it a little better. And so I got this little competitive edge growing up in a very sports family. And so I started swimming to get healthy and then swimming to get faster. And as I started understanding living with a disability, I set my goal on going to the Paralympics. And in the year 2000, I was honored to represent our country at the Paralympic Games and have winning success and standing on the podium.
I mean, unbelievable that you've been able to take, sometimes, like I said, we don't always understand, but we say, Lord, I'm just going to trust you in this. And you've been able to use this platform as a testimony for the change that's occurred in your life. And we are so thrilled that you're here on 100 Huntley Street because we exist to tell people stories because we don't know who's, on the other side of that camera and what they're going through, maybe not to the same level of what you've had to go through. But when we go through things and God brings us through them, we can then use that to help others. Your life went through a drastic change because I know you have 3 kids.
Yes.
And then you went through something that you got sepsis. You had a 10% chance of survival. Tell us,
so
what?
Going from, an Olympic athlete and getting married and celebrating that, normal life. And I had my 3rd child. Her birth was perfect. I think I screamed louder than my mom when I found out it was a girl. Having my first 2 children, boys, and celebrating. And like I said, her birth was perfect. And my recovery was anything but. And a true testament to relying on my faith. I was in the hospital for 28 days after she was born, just begging God and praying of there's got to be a purpose. I went home for a few short hours only to kiss my kids goodbye, to be sent back to the hospital in an ambulance, afraid of, I may never come back home to them, and to find out I was in a severe sepsis infection battle.
Well, with a 10% survival rate, we were chatting before we came out here. You told me this incredible story involving
my son, Corbin, yes.
How old was he at the time? And tell us what happened, because it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, so a 10% survival rate, and by the glory of God and the power of prayer, I was put into a medically induced coma, and my time in the coma, later on when I came home from the hospital, Corbin shared a story of the doctors had gone to my family and said, this is when we need her to fight. We need everything to happen. And Corbin shares the story of he was sleeping, and I came into his room, and I sat on his bed, and I shared with him, Corbin, Mommy's body is too sick, and I need to go home to heaven, and Daddy's going to take care of you. And Corbin says, he said, Mommy, I looked at the man standing behind you, and I said, please don't take my mommy. And he put his hand on your shoulder, and he said, okay. Later to find out that very next morning, my husband called my mother-in-law to say, Mom, she opened her eyes, and the doctors are finally cautiously optimistic. Corbin later goes to school and comes running home from his grade school and says, Mommy, that man is everywhere in my school. I see pictures of Jesus everywhere.
Unbelievable. I mean, I know that something like that, when that happens to you, it does something to your faith. I want to quote you, okay? You said something beautiful. You said, I'm here not because of science or medical intervention. I'm here because of the power of prayer and the miracle that I was given. And my mission now is to share the light of my faith so that if even one more person may come to know God, my goal is to walk into those gates of heaven one day and hear the words, well done, my child.
Absolutely.
I mean, how does this impact your faith on a, there's an overview, but on a daily basis?
I mean, I give thanks to God putting that incredible medical team in my path. So I don't want to minimize that at all. But I absolutely believe there was an amazing prayer vigil that was started when I was sick. It has grown to over 1,500 people. Still 3 years later, people are coming together to pray together every night. And for me, I laid in that hospital bed one night, Joe, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, God, there is a purpose for this pain, and I'm not going to doubt you. I'm going to trust you, and I know you are going to carry me through this. I'm scared. I'm worried, and I want to raise my babies, but I trust you. So like those words my mom said, thy will be done, and let's use this for as good as we can.
Well, that's the question then. How does God, use that pain, and how does he turn it into purpose? How has he done that in your life?
I think from the very early age of living with the struggles of a disability and having those tools that have been given by God to get through that next struggle, to move through, to be able to then, only have a 10% chance of survival and say, hey, I've done this. I've had this warrior behind me this whole time, and being able to honestly say, you know what, God, I need you to carry me right now. I can't do it. I need you to do this till I can walk again. And so being able to just go step by step and taking those moments to say, I need that, and feeling that pure faith of he was right there.
So how does faith help you on a daily basis? I'm sure there are things that frustrate you. There's, I wish I could do this without, issue. How does that get you through the day?
For me, now to be able to be home with my kids and my husband and raising my family, I give thanks as often as I can. But I also say, sometimes jokingly, okay, I've had enough. But also, I can't wait to see what the purpose of this one is. So instead of that why me attitude, I'm always having conversations with God of, okay, let's try me through this one. And I can't wait to see. For me, every struggle I go through just brings me so much closer to my relationship with God.
Amen. And he can use all things. He doesn't cause all things, but he can use all things. And now you've been given this platform nationally where you can go and be a voice for others. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I made my mission that after I got healthy, I would share my story, and being able, like you said, to even just touch one person who may be struggling, and, being able to walk alongside people through their journey. So it's my mission to share my story to whoever wants to listen. And even if they don't, I'm going to make them listen.
Well, there are a lot of people listening right now, and if there's somebody that's going through a difficult season, whatever it might be, it could be a diagnosis, it could be a financial thing, a mental health, what would you say to a person who says, oh, it's not worth it, or I just feel like I need to give up? Because you were given 10% survival, you're in a medically induced coma, then you go into an actual coma, you come out of it. What do you say to people who might feel like giving up?
I say, hold on to him. I say, this is the air we breathe, and he's not going anywhere. So I know sometimes it's so hard, and it's allowed to be difficult. We feel like we have to be okay with everything. And sometimes, just having that moment to say, this is the air I breathe, and it's going to get better.
I love that. And I know that people can read your story in a book that you've written called Resurrections, and I want them to be able to get the whole story. I am so thankful that you have the boldness and that you are brave enough to come on a platform like this and to share everything that you've been through. I know that it's been an encouragement to others. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.